The Illinois Radio Reading Service helps the visually handicapped by providing readings from many Central Illinois daily and weekly newspapers, in addition to other popular publications. For more information about this service, call 333-6503 or write Reading Service, 59 East Armory, Champaign, 61820.
Well, Lance Corporal Kaye, that's right. The war is over for the men and women of MASH, and tonight we've got a special program for you, a farewell salute to all the folks at MASH, and we will learn in the last emotional packed minutes and in exclusive interviews how the stars feel.
Somehow it had everything.
And I really think it's time. I think it's time to go.
Nothing compares with this. Never will. I mean, this is it. I mean, after MASH, forget it.
And all of our PM Magazine personalities are joining into our tribute to MASH. Hi, everybody. I'm Suzanne, Kaye.
And I'm Steve Traynor. Tonight, we're spending the entire evening at the Army National Guard in Decatur, C Company, 47th Aviation Battalion. So stay with us. Tonight's a very special show on PM Magazine. We're devoting our entire show to the final episode of MASH because it all ends tonight on Channel 3 following PM Magazine with a very special 2.5-hour show. We're going to go behind the scenes with PM Magazine's Maria Shriver as they shoot the final episode, and we have exclusive interviews with Hawkeye, Hot Lips, Klinger, and all the stars and discover how they feel in these final moments. We'll also learn how MASH grew from a book to a popular movie to the TV series, and learn how it remained a smash despite cast changes year after year.
How's the North Korean?
Touch and go. He's given a whole new meaning to the term lead poisoning. I never had any great hopes that we would change the world with this. I always hoped
Authenticity.
On 2020, Geraldo Rivera with a personal portrait of the one man who may bring order out of war-torn Lebanon. Plus tough love, controversial new method of dealing with kids in trouble.
If you abide by these things, you can stay in our home. If you don't, you'll be asked to leave.
On 2020 next.
As you probably know by now, this is the last year of MASH. After 11 seasons of consistently high ratings and over 100 Emmy nominations, the 4077th is striking camp. The war is over. The war is ending with a bang. Tonight, a 2-hour movie will chronicle the final days of this mobile Army surgical hospital as they prepare to go home. Not since The Fugitive got his man has the anticipation level for the close of a show been so intense. Experts are now predicting that more people will watch this final bout than any other show in the history of television.
In a sense, this is an added year for us because we all thought that last year was our last year.
And the idea of a movie was brought forth, and that was so enchanting to do a movie and end with a high note. We just thought it was the greatest idea.
No press was allowed on the set of the final movie. Complete scripts were passed out to only a discreet few, including executive producer Burt Metcalf. Metcalf, along with writer Larry Gelbart and producer Gene Reynolds, has had more influence on MASH than anyone else behind the camera.
It's extremely rare to have a group of people on both sides of the camera who got along as well as we did.
And in this business, there's a tremendous amount of competition normally, and people trying to elbow other people out of the limelight sort of thing, and there is none of that here.
And we'll never get that again. Well, how can we ever work with people we love like this, a whole company of people? And it's not just the actors and not just the writers, but we've become very close with the crew.
It's been rather a blessing and a joy, you know, kind of like having your cake and eating it too.
Through early morning fog.
beef.
MASH began as a book by Richard Hooker, and in 1970 was turned into a movie starring Donald Sutherland and Elliott Gould. It came to TV in 1972 during the final stages of Vietnam. The timing was perfect for a weekly show which traded heavily on the absurdity of war. But to steal the sympathies of America, it had to be more than just black comedy, and it was. The storylines were funny, but the characters used the humor as a form of verbal jousting in an effort to take their minds off the slaughter. The result was a combination of legitimate comedy and often heart-wrenching drama. It worked.
Hi there, happy to help. We're taking a survey. How did you hear about us?
Here's the x-ray, doctor.
It doesn't look too bad. Just a scalp laceration.
Is he gonna live?
Who?
The Gook?
I don't know about the Gook. The North Korean's in bad shape.
There's never been anything like that. There's never been an idea for a show where you had people under the greatest stress possible, where people were dying. They were standing in other people's blood and hating it and having to do something about it and wishing they weren't there and going crazy from that and trying to regain their sanity through some act of insanity of their own. There's never been anything like that.
The time has come for us to say sayonara.
MASH went through what seemed like a continuous personnel shakeup. Among the MASH alumni are Larry Linville as Frank Burns, Wayne Rogers as Trapper John McIntyre, Gary Berghoff as Radar, and McLean Stevenson as Henry Blake. Stevenson has since candidly admitted that if the opportunity arose, he would have come back in a second.
Every time an actor chose to leave, we were able to justify it and bring in somebody else to not play that same role, not to replace the defector, but rather to bring in a whole new character.
Wasn't yesterday payday?
The present roll call for the 4077th includes Harry Morgan, Loretta Swit, Mike Farrell, Jamie Farr, William Christopher, David Ogden Stiers, and of course, Alan Alda. As an actor, writer, and director, Alda is the constant and the conscience of MASH. His seemingly effortless portrayal of Hawkeye Pierce must be considered among the very finest work in television.
You know, we get asked all the time why MASH works. I guess in a way, somehow it had everything.
And we've never subscribed to the lowest common denominator notion. We've never talked down to the audience, and I think audiences appreciate that.
It was always important to us to make our characters as three-dimensional as possible and as deep as possible.
And it's wonderful because it's given you high standards.
Well, at its best, it's not like, I don't think, many other things on television.
Never again will you ever find a group of people so concerned about a product.
Nothing compared to this. Never will. I mean, this is it. I mean, after MASH, forget it.
Later in the show, we'll take you on the set for the dramatic closing day of shooting. We'll talk to the stars and find out exactly what they're feeling as MASH draws to an end.
Right now I'm standing in the maintenance tent, and it is holding about 1/5 of all the materials they need to keep the aircraft flying. They have what they call a technical library where they hold all the books they can refer to and all the manuals, as well as tools. Now this kind of stays away from the front line, so nothing gets blown away, obviously, if they were in any kind of combat, and they can keep, as I said, the aircraft flying. Kind of an H&S company, headquarters and supply. That's what we called it in the Marine Corps. We also called it Hiding and Sliding Company, because they were in the back. They sometimes had it a little easier than we did. Coming up next, all of our regular personalities will join us in this special salute to MASH. Then we'll conclude our tribute with the emotional final moments on the set of MASH.
Weight Watchers is celebrating its 20th anniversary by offering the 1983 program at the 1963 price to join. Till March 5th, pay $5 for the first meeting and registration fee. They'll teach you how to control your out-of-control eating habits so you can learn how to take it off and keep it off. Weight Watchers can teach you everything they've learned since 1963. That's important. Now that you can join for the 1963 price, $5, that's a bargain. Call us now for the participating class nearest you.
Jerry Redding, President and Director of Research for Nexus Products Company.
Nature itself is the ultimate miracle. It is here that the Nexus products for the hair and skin came to be. Is your hair brittle, oily, too thin? Ask your hairstylist for the Nexus formulation best suited to your particular hair and skincare needs. It took me over 50 years to find it, but it'll only take you a few pleasant moments at your favorite salon to discover the magic of Nexus for yourself.
Nexus! Think lunch. Okay, all you seafood lovers, what comes to mind? A shrimp salad? Maybe a broiled filet? Well, why not shrimp scampi? Or tasty oysters? At Red Lobster, you can have that for lunch. Sure, how about cold boiled shrimp? Or just about anything that comes to a seafood lover's mind. Got you thinking about lunch? Come on. Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
I remember the last time I was in a tent like this was out in North Carolina in the middle of the forest fighting off mosquitoes as big as your fist. Have you got any mosquito repellent in there?
No, but let's see, we've got some ammonia inhaled.
You sure do. Oh, please.
That'll get him.
I always wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, my. Well, I'm going to stick to this first aid kit. Stay away from me with that thing. Tonight, Ken Hur, Chef Tell, and American Hot Stuff Bob Sarlott are all taking a look back on MASH.
You know, when MASH ends tonight, it's like the Korean War ending for the second time. Well, Ken Hur was around when it ended the first time back in 1953.
Hi, I'm Attorney Ken Hur. You know, I usually come on the show and tell you how to make the law work for you. Well, tonight I'm going to do something different. You see, when we were putting this special MASH show together, we discovered I was the only one who was old enough to actually remember when the Korean War ended the first time back in 1953. So listen closely, children. Just cuddle up with the Victrola, the TV. In 1953, it really seemed like happy days. Ike was in the White House and gasoline was 29 cents a gallon. And oh, by the way, do you recognize Ike's vice president? He reminds me of Rich Little. The guns finally stopped in Korea July 27th, 1953, when an armistice was signed at Panmunjom. Oh, and take a look at this. It's an airlift of men wounded in action. Now, this is the real MASH. Back in 1953, the big box office sweetheart was Marilyn Monroe. You know, there was some talk that the war lasted even longer when the troops found out that Marilyn was going to come back to entertain again. Those were the years that television began to enter our lives. Ricky and Lucy were our favorite TV family, and then after the war was over, the phrase, "I'm home," had a special meaning. And that's how it was some 30 years ago when the first Korean War ended. Now, coming up next, we're going to take a lighthearted look at how the latest TV version of the war has affected our lives.
I've got a trivia question for you. Who was the only actor to portray the same part in the movie MASH and the television show? Okay, it's an easy one. Give up? Gary Burghoff as Radar. You win absolutely nothing. Sure, it's just a small, insignificant thing, but talking about small, insignificant things is how I make my living. Hi, I'm Bob Sarlott, and tonight everybody's talking about the big things that TV's MASH has given us. Well, instead, I'm going to talk about some of the little things. MASH used to be sort of a trendy adult show, but once it went into syndication, the kids started watching it. And as any Wall Street wizard will tell you, once you've got the kids, the next step is merchandising. Think of a product. Now, if the letters M-A-S-H fit on it, it's probably already on the market. There are MASH t-shirts, hats, dog tags, jigsaw puzzles, bed sheets, and draperies. Oh, excuse me. On top of all that, there are the MASH toys, which include, of course, the ambulance, the helicopter, the MASH digital watch used a lot during the Korean conflict. And, of course, my personal favorite, the Father Mulcahy action figure. Ask for it by name. And finally, the controversial MASH vodka. This was actually protested by some members of the cast. And yet, hey, what party would be complete without it, huh? Once you and all your friends have bought all these fine MASH accessories, only then will you be properly attired to watch the final episode of the show. I'll be paying particular attention to the commercials. They'll be selling for an unheard of $450,000 per 30-second spot. Now, as far as the show is concerned, well, I already know how the whole thing ends from a special article I read. For example, Jamie Farr will remain in Korea and actually marry a Korean girl. How do I know all this? Well, I always say, if you can't trust the National Enquirer, who the heck can you trust, huh? Oh, coming up next, a fellow you all know with a special recipe you can make right before the final episode of MASH.
That's right, it's me. I have been on your side all along. Tonight, for the last episode of MASH, I'm going to show you a very special recipe. So come on, let's go in the mess tent. Now, this is not exactly a mess tent, but it even gets messy here once in a while. So let me take that stuff off, this in here and this in here. And tonight, for the final episode of MASH, I'm going to show you a very famous recipe for that famous meat product called Spam. What you're going to do, I know you heard it right. What you're going to do, you take a little butter or margarine or whatever you like, put it in a saute pan, and you turn the heat on. We have this done. Now we're going to take a slice or two. Oh, that is terrific. Just look at this beautiful, nice color. The pan is already a little preheated. Another slice, since I'm very hungry. Just going to take a third slice. This is all there is. Now we saute this on either side for approximately a minute or so, because it's already cooked meat. It really doesn't take this much. When it's cooked like this, we add in there a little chopped onions, and there's no time to write for the recipe. You get it right away. A little chopped parsley, not too much. And now we put it on the other side, so it browns on both sides. And you know you're not supposed to cook with wine in the army, but the war is over anyhow tonight. So we just add a little wine in there. And what I'm having here, having some mixed vegetables and some mashed potato out of army surplus. So we take some of this in here, very nice. A little bit of this in here, very simple. And of course, a little bit of this. Oh, God, is this terrific. I wish you could be here. Now let me taste this. Okay, Hawkeye, Peachy, and Hot Dip, this one is for you. I'm telling you, this is so great, I should enlist. Thank you very much, and I'll see you.
Stay with us, because when we come back, we'll see the dramatic final scene on the set of MASH.
Introducing Fruit Roll-Ups. Real fruit and fun rolled up in one.
You can rip them, you can stretch them. They're so good you'll want to fetch them. You can tear them, you can share them. They taste great anywhere.
Fruit Roll-Ups are the chewy new snacks made with real fruit that you unroll, peel, and chew.
You can trick them, you can treat them. You can swap them, you can eat them.
Fruit Roll-Ups. Real fruit and fun rolled up in one. New from Fruit Corners.
It's so easy to catch someone's eye, and so easy to lose it. It's so easy to get their attention, and so easy to lose it.
Why let the itch of dandruff be what they notice when it's so easy to control with Head & Shoulders? Head & Shoulders leaves your hair soft, shiny, captivatingly clean. Lose that itch and keep their attention with Head & Shoulders.
It's so easy.
When you walk into the Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company in Champaign, you will see the home of Champaign-Urbana's favorite soft drinks. You will see a national award-winning plant, consistently honored for excellence. You will see the preparation of our exceptional products: Pepsi-Cola, Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Light, Mountain Dew, Barks Root Beer, Sun-Kissed Orange, and patio flavors. Please accept our invitation to see all this and more on a tour of our national award-winning bottling facility, the Champaign-Urbana Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company.
They say this Jeep is probably old enough to have been from the Korean War. Hop in, soldier, I'll give you a ride. Tonight we're going back to the scene of MASH for the last time. The show is being shot, the very last scene. We're going to have some exclusive interviews with the stars. We're going to find out why the show can't continue, even though it's the third most popular show on TV, only behind 60 Minutes in Dallas. Tonight, PM Magazine's Maria Shriver will also tell us what the stars are planning for the future.
To be the pains that are withheld for me, I realize and I can see.
By now, this hodgepodge of Army tents is as familiar to most Americans as their own living rooms. The television show MASH began in 1972 and has lasted almost 4 times as long as the real Korean War. After 11 seasons, it's still fresh, funny, and as popular as ever. Tonight, it all ends.
Here, come on, Alan. Where are you going? Oh, okay. You're all great. Sorry, sir.
It's the final day. In a few moments, the last scene will be shot, the last line delivered. An army of reporters and photographers filter slowly into stage 9 on the 20th Century Fox lot. One newsman remarks that there are more news people covering this event than covered the final days of the Korean War. Notepads and electronic cameras are poised patiently to record the end of a television era.
If the show is as good as everybody seems to think it is, why end it?
I think if it went on much longer, the seams would begin to show. The quality would not be able to be maintained, and as much as we would all try. And it would become less than what it should be, and I don't think any of us wants to see that happen.
If we went further, we would risk squeezing it dry, not being able to give it our best, not being able to keep up the level of quality which generally has been high enough to make us proud, very proud of it.
It becomes increasingly difficult to the point of impossibility to discover new things to say and new ways to say it.
The future for this regiment is not yet certain. There is some talk about a civilian MASH series with Harry Morgan, William Christopher, and Jamie Farr. Aldo will be making a TV series out of his movie, 4 seasons.
Well, it's changed my life. It's given me the chance to develop as a writer and a director and as an actor. I've learned to work with people in close in a way, in a creative way that I really never knew before and didn't know was possible.
I was contemplating quitting show business before I got this job. I had been in it for about 16 years and had never gone beyond being a day player.
Sometimes young people send me tapes because a letter is not enough, and they talk to me on tapes. One young man said, "I grew up with you. I'm a MASH baby. I've watched you for 10 years. I'm 20 years old. I started watching the show when I was 10. It makes you feel very valuable as an artist and as a person."
Pierce, very nice. Thank you.
Well, I figured since we're burying everything else, why not the hatchet?
After several rehearsals, producer-director Burt Metcalf has decided to film what will be the final scene of MASH. For 4 hours, hundreds of press members have waited in the shadows for this moment.
Well, I figured since we're burying everything else, why not the hatchet? And cut. Get this back. Bob. Good. That's a wrap! You know, you see the things that you've been doing every day, and you realize this is the last time I'll be in makeup here. And this is the last time I'll put these boots on. Like MASH itself, I don't just have one emotion. They're mixed. Like MASH itself, I'm sad and happy.
These tents have survived over 250 episodes of MASH. From here, they'll go to the Smithsonian Institute for all of America to see and for the cast and the crew to visit when they get homesick.
The most precious treasure in life is your memory, because it is the one thing you take with you when you leave this earth. And I have the best treasure in my life.
I think that life is a progression, and you've got to always think that you're going on to something worth going on to.
And I really think it's time. I think it's time to go.
We hugged each other a lot this week. We did it more because we know we won't be able to do it every day. For a while.
You know, the sadness will go away in a couple of years, and the pride and the pleasure, we'll always have that.
I just want to be able to go away with my head held high and say I was part of that.
We've been real lucky, and we can be happy that we had this wonder in our lives, and it'll never go away. It's changed us all for the better.
Well, it looks like that civilian MASH series is definite. The series starts with all the characters back in the States, and they meet by a series of accidents or events, whatever you want to call it, at a civilian hospital on the East Coast. So it looks like MASH is not really over.
Sounds great to me.
Don't forget, MASH tonight. We've got more about that. Stay with us.
It's a short journey to where everything is pure, smooth, and delightful. And all around, it's light, cool, and creamy.
Come discover the one place where good taste comes through.
Discover the delightful Dairy Queen sundae.
In the land of Dairy Queen. We treat you right.
We've been building the high-octane product line for about 10 years. Now we have high-octane 38, which doesn't dilute the energy of grain like conventional supplements or soybean meal. You see, the problem was working the extra energy and amino acids into such a small package. But now we've solved that. Today, I can't think of anything that will help hog producers more.
Now get high-octane performance from a 38% supplement. See your Purina dealer today.
You know, when Drew and I first started out, times were pretty tough. So we cut corners whenever we could. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I've tried cheaper shortening. But I came back to Crisco. Because Crisco makes my chicken taste like something special with no greasy taste.
Mighty tasty.
Chicken this good must mean you're doing something right.
Come on, all the seeds.
All vegetable, no cholesterol, Crisco.
Crisco will do you proud every time.
Okay, soldier, end of the line.
Oh, no, no, no.
Yep.
Hey, you think you're ready for the military now? We've got a
Nope.
nice taste of it. No?
Nope, nope, nope.
I've got some boot camp stories that curl your hair.
We'll tell after MASH is over tonight. Remember, say goodbye to Hawkeye and the rest of the MASH gang tonight at 7:30, right here on Channel 3. Now, coming up on our show tomorrow night,
We're going to learn why more and more singles are advertising for love through the want ads.
then we'll experience flying's most dangerous job, landing a jet on an aircraft carrier.
Maria Shriver checks up on the first Dallas spinoff, Knots Landing.
And on PM's America, I'll take you to an exotic animal auction.
We better get back. We're going to catch the show.
That's right. Leave the Jeep behind. Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you tomorrow night.
Good evening. A strike at Fiat Alice in Springfield is set for midnight tonight, and we'll have a report on a farewell to MASH party at 10 on the Channel 3 News.
Clint Eastwood,
Rock Hudson,
Telly Savalas,
Ernest Borgnine,
Dean Martin,
Donald Sutherland.
the action stars, this week at 3
on the Channel 3 Early Show.
During this week's Our Brand Save-a-thon, IGA advertised specials include IGA tuna, only 59 cents a can. IGA table right franks, just 88 cents. And 42-ounce cans of elf shortening, just 88 cents.
Advertised specials are one of IGA's most helpful customer services. IGA newspaper ads and circulars tell you which products are on sale at what price. These special low prices help you save money. This helps you keep your total food bill down. And that's what IGA price stopping is all about.
Excuse me, what's a good cold medicine?
Lots of them say they'll do everything.
Even help my chest cold?
Oh, you do have a problem.
Yeah.
Try New Head and Chest. It helps clear your head and your chest. Even the leading cold medicine can't do that.
New Head and Chest drains nasal passages so you can breathe easy with no drowsiness. And its moisturizing action loosens and helps get rid of chest congestion.
Hey, head and chest really works.
Right. New Head and Chest. Clears your head and clears your chest.
See More Real People tomorrow at 5.
I used to be sad. I used to be shy. Funniest thing, the saddest